Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about something today. I want to bring up the massacres that happened prior to the October 7th war. Many people have this false belief that the conflict in Palestine happened in October 7th. So I was going to bring up a few massacres that happened prior to October 7th. So my first massacre here starts in 1946. So there were many massacres that happened before this one, and there's many massacres that I will not mention today. Many massacres that happened much later and very recent in history. But I'm just going to go over a few of the big ones that have happened since this first massacre in 1946. Of course, these massacres are not counting the ethnic cleansing of many, many villages and a lot of other murders that happened in Palestine. So the first massacre I have on this list is the King David Hotel bombing, which happened in Al-Quds, Jerusalem, July 22nd, 1946. And this was a bombing that was carried out by the Irgun terrorist organization, in which they dressed up as Arab workers and they went into the basement of the hotel and planted bombs. This led to the deaths of 91 civilians, and the injured people were 46 people. So now to go over the second massacre here on my list, I have a raid that happened at Al Khisas, which is a village on the Syrian border, northern Palestine, by the Palmach, which was also a section of the Haganah terrorist organization. This was an attack on the village there. 12 Arabs killed by arsonists, and 5 of them were children. This is considered a massacre by Wikipedia. I'm reading everything off Wikipedia today. I know it can be edited. But also these edits usually are done, and there are people actually looking over the references and the sources. So today, the easiest way is to just look at Wikipedia. Even though not everything there is true, everything I'm saying here can be found in so many other sources that are 100% accurate. And now for our next massacre, we have a bomb that was thrown on the Damascus Gate in Al-Quds on December 29th, 1947. And this was perpetrated by the Irgun terrorist group. Again, 11 Arabs killed and 2 Britons killed, and 15 injuries. Now, going on to the next massacre, which was a village. This was called the Bilad al-Sheikh massacre, and it was in an Arab village near Haifa, perpetrated by the Haganah, which was another one of these terrorist groups. You're gonna hear me repeating that a lot because I want to make sure that everybody understands what kinds of people perpetrated these attacks. They were not just militiamen or soldiers; they were actual terrorists. So the target was on Arab civilians. We had 21 to 70 Arabs killed, and 2 Jews of the attacking group were killed as well, and 41 Arabs injured. This happened in December 31, 1947. So now we have a village in Safad, February 14, 1948. This was done by the Palmach, which is a section of the Haganah terrorist organization again. Reports vary, but reports are from 11 to 60 Arab civilians killed and 45 people injured. Now, this attack was in revenge of a convoy of Haganah terrorists who were killed by Palestinian farmers. So the Haganah, in revenge, they attacked the village and massacred its villagers. Now we have next on the list is the Ramla vegetable market bombing, which happened on February 18, 1948 by the Irgun. 12 people killed, 43 people wounded. Now we have next is the Cairo Haifa train bombings of 1948, in which 40 villagers, 40 civilians were killed by the Lehi, which was also another one of these extremist terrorist organizations. 60 wounded. No soldiers were killed, no soldiers were injured as well. Now we have a very famous massacre, unfortunately, which happened in the village of Deir Yassin on April 9th, 1948. This was, of course, targeting Arab civilians again by the Irgun and the Lehi and assisted by the Haganah. So this led to more than 107 Palestinian villagers killed, and of course 5 of the terrorists were killed. So this is a crazy massacre here because you had the population of the whole village is 600. So it's roughly around 600 people. And these terrorists killed more than 107 people. So that's a big portion of the village here massacred. Of course, men, women, and children. And people were tied up and were executed point blank. Now for our next massacre, we have the Ain al-Zaytun massacre, which happened on May 1, 1948. This was happening during the 1948 war. It was done by the Palmak, again, which led to the deaths of 23 to 70 Arab prisoners. So they're prisoners, most likely just villagers that were tied up and taken as prisoners, kind of like hostages, really, more than they were prisoners. And this led to 23 to 70 people being killed. Now for our last massacre on the list is also very famous, probably the most famous massacre done by occupational terrorists on Palestinian civilians, which was the massacre of Sabra and Shatila. This happened in Lebanon and was perpetrated by an extremist Lebanese group called the Kataib. So this extremist group, they view themselves as basically being the descendants of the Crusaders. In reality, they're not. They're actually just regular Arabs, just like everybody else. But they had this weird ideology, this weird supremacist ideology. So they killed many, they were Christian, and they killed many Palestinian Muslims and Christians as well, attacked many Palestinian churches and villages, and refugees inside of Lebanon. So these Palestinians here, they were not going to attack the Lebanese. They were there as refugees, and that upset the Lebanese extremist terrorist organizations because they believed as an Arab invasion of their land, and you can find many sources of this online. They believed that it was a Arab invasion of their country that was not Arab somehow. So they were supported by the IDF, who are the descendants of the terrorist organizations of the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Lehi. Now we do have quite a big range of numbers of people killed here, but on Wikipedia itself. But other sources give much bigger numbers as well, far greater than the number that I'm seeing here on Wikipedia. The number I have here on Wikipedia is 700 to 3,500 civilians killed, men, women, and children, and rapes happened as well. The whole village was surrounded, and the Israelis helped the Kataib militia to kill so many civilians. So this happened in the Shatila refugee camp, just to reiterate as well. And this one, again, the numbers are disputed, but other sources have very big numbers, so I would lean more towards the 3,500 limit in this range rather than the 700 people, especially if you look at actual accounts of people who survived, the very few people who survived. They would also give a much bigger number than what we're seeing here on Wikipedia. So this is the end of my list here that I would want to go over really fast. So again, these ranges of these massacres is from 1948 to 1982. I just want to repeat again, this does not include all the villages that were ethnically cleansed, all the people kicked out of their homes, all the masajid destroyed, all the mosques destroyed, all the churches destroyed, all the heritage destroyed, families torn apart. This is just a very small amount of massacres. Even there are far more massacres that happened prior to 1948, and there are still massacres going on to this day. So if you found this video to be very helpful and informative, please share this video as much as you can, because there's a lot of people who have this false belief about the conflict in Palestine, and it needs to be more well known about all this killing that's been happening by these occupational terrorists for many years now.